that 30 and up hit different.
It really do. I feel like it hits to the point where when you have to have a midweek drink. So for those of y'all joining in, if you haven't gotten your break, you may want to run and take your break right now. It's a good time for a little bathroom break. Get you a little cup, a little splash, a little sip, whatever your poison is.
Mm-hmm.
Get you your drink because we snack tonight.
Your drink, your meal, your popcorn, whatever works for you, your snack, your veggie fries, I don't know, whatever fix your fancy, your fruit cup. I know a lot
See,
of
I
some of the health
almost like
drinks.
I have my little cheddar jalapeno popcorn. That's for the grown folks. When you get to a certain age, you start eating dill pickle and stuff and jalapeno flavor and stuff. That's how you know you
I
inching
ain't
up
gonna lie
there.
to you,
Salt
Miss
and vinegar.
Lovable. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not that grown, okay? Because I done told you about that nasty ass popcorn you be eating.
Leave
I
my
done told you
healthy
about that
popcorn.
nasty ass popcorn. Popcorn ain't got
My
no taste. That thing tastes
pop.
like air. I don't know if y'all be eating skinny pop, y'all, but let me tell you, Miss Lovable will be tearing that skinny pop up, okay?
Hashtag skinny pop. I was ambitious. It's a lofty goal. I'm trying to keep that popcorn right. Calorie.
And that thing there, okay, imagine going outside, opening your mouth and going like, and biting it. That's what skinny pop tastes like.
I feel like because you was missing all the salt and the butter and the other stuff that makes popcorn real. If don't come over to my crib and ask me for a snack, I'm gonna give you that little healthy popcorn. That's it.
And I don't. When I came over your house, I brought my own snacks because I already knew.
I was telling people, I was like, I don't play with healthy juice and all of that stuff too.
Now,
Bring
see
your
that
own
one.
beverage.
Now that one, I'll give you right because we're on the same page with that one. You know, I gave up the booger sugar. So if anybody know me in the real life, I had a Pepsi addiction. Okay, I was real bad, like real bad. So I gave up the booger sugar. Stop messing with the sodas and the juice. So now people be coming to my house like, ah, I be like, I don't know what to tell you.
I go. I got water for you. That's it. Come
But
the
you know what?
flavors. That's all.
Because of other people in my house, I do tend to have other stuff. So that's the only saving grace. But if I was like nobody else in my house, oh yeah, you be out of luck. You be up here drinking 0 calorie ginger ales, ice waters, and regular water. That's all you would get from me.
That's all you getting from me. That's all I be saying. I was like seltzer
Somebody say no
water.
one calls that booger sugar. Stop.
He was like, "What part of the line?" I'm playing what? What's going on? But what's good, everybody? You know, we want to make sure that we keep y'all real and right, and we start y'all up on time. It's your girl, Miss Well and Woke, and you know I'm kicking it with my ace boon coon, Miss Lady A Savage, and this is Who Woke the Savage on a Thursday night.
Yes,
So we so
ma'am.
have y'all rocking with us. If y'all were on last week, you know, we were having conversations about not making yourself a sacrificial lamb in terms of your relationship and the ability to choose yourself and do so without fear or concern. This time we gonna get in y'all ass. I just want y'all to understand. So y'all locked in. Y'all ready? So we already know that there's a common theme across a lot of relationships that exist, and trust and loyalty is very big in our community. But I feel like we want to have a different spin on that conversation because I feel like disloyalty and distrust may be a little bit more prevalent than we expect it to be. What you think, friend?
I definitely believe it is. And I feel like sometimes we hold too deep to trust and loyalty. And I feel like that's the issue too. I feel like because of how we were raised, and we talked about this, how we were raised, different things coming up, and certain things we held true to. And I feel like with loyalty and trust, it's a big dynamic, but I feel like sometimes we hold it to a default. I feel like we hold it too strong and we overlook it a lot, overlook it in ways where like, is that loyalty? Is that trust? Is those
You know,
things really being given to me?
that's the whole fact. I feel like growing up is something that we consider like an expectation in our community that automatically something like loyalty, which, you know, I said by definition, if you look at what loyalty means, it means allegiance, right? So we use that as a very loose term in our society today. We usually say like, oh yeah, like he's disloyal, he's loyal to me, I'm riding for him, like until the wheels fall off, I'll do anything for that person. And like I said, what you're pledging is your allegiance to another individual, which is different than how we chop it up about trust. Like trust by nature is just another way for us to say like reliable. somebody that you deem trustworthy is somebody that you consider to be a reliable person or party. And we often know that that trust flips real fast depending on the situation. Has
Amen.
anybody ever had like a person that they really felt like they were locked in with, and the minute they was distrusting their relationship or something that happened, all of that shit went out the window?
The moment you get pissed off, the moment somebody gets mad, the moment money comes into play, different things of that nature, how quick all of a sudden all the things I trusted you with and thought I trusted you and you trusted me come back and hit me in my ass.
Let's talk to the folks. Now, I don't know if anybody's into the rapper Young and May. She kind of, I don't want to use the term fell off, but she went through a situation. Like any of us, she's human. She got sick. And recently there was an interview that's getting ready to drop with her ex-girlfriend, who at one point when she was at her lowest moment, and she will literally say this to people, she was at her lowest moment. She was in the hospital. She couldn't do many things for herself. So she had a girlfriend who was helping care for her. The girlfriend admitted to changing her diaper, to wiping her behind, to wiping the drool off her lip, to having to feed her food. And one of the biggest things that people found, I guess, to be the most disgusting is that their relationship ended, of course. And now this person is willing to do interviews about, look, when you was down and out, I was the person wiping your behind. And they were using very sensitive information that can only have been obtained by being in a relationship with somebody. But as soon as it was over, it was like, I'm going on any social media platform and I'm going to blast your personal business. How do you feel about wild shit like that?
So here's how I feel. I feel like my thing is when it comes to people like Young and May and different people of a higher, platform, I feel like as much as people don't want to make it seem like it does, money definitely takes a place. And when that trust and that loyalty gets funny, right? Because when I was holding you down and paying your bills and doing this, that, and the third, you was cool. But now that we broken up and you need to find another source of income, you want to use my name, you want to use my platform, you want to use my tragic situation that happened to me and use it against me to make you a bag. And that's what it is.
Because I feel like that's like saying you can only be loyal to or trusting of somebody who's in the trenches with you. Like if we not broke together, that's the only time that we could be locked in that way. Because the minute that money gets introduced into a situation, it changes a lot of feelings. And I mean, like, I mean, make it. There's people out there change up for $2. I mean, there's a lot.
It goes back to what you were saying. For people that didn't hear the one episode, it goes back to what you were saying when you were like, I need somebody who's equally as busy as me. I need somebody who's equally got to hustle like I got to hustle with different things of that nature. Because if I'm here and then you're here, granted, it's going to work till it works. But the moment something goes wrong, and guess what? I don't want this relationship anymore, whatever the case may be, you're going to find out a way, especially, like I said, people of that platform, you're going to find a way to make you a bag off of my name. You're going to find a way to make you a bag, to turn everything that all that loyalty and trust is going to go out the window when somebody gives you the right price.
I think that a lot of people underneath that, guys, feel then obligated to take people with them. And, we've had that conversation again and again. Like, if my fear that if you don't come with me, you're going to use the sensitive nature of my personal business and you're going to spread all of this information about me because I didn't drag you to the top. So I feel like, how do you get in these healthy relationships, especially for us as Black people? Like, I'm a firm supporter of Black love, right? But we can't use that crabs in a barrel mentality to continuously hold us back. You should want anybody that's connected with you, affiliated with you, and in your space to strive for their best, their personal best. So I feel
that's
you gotta sit up there and sprinkle magic on everybody and make sure everybody got the same blessings all around just to make sure that nobody stabs you in the back. That's a wild reality.
It is. Because at the end of the day, my thing is, I should want the best for you the same way you should want the best for me. And the thing is, people, and I hate to say this, as a culture, we have this mindset where sometimes it's kind of like we're scared of somebody getting ahead of us. It's enough. Everybody can eat. It's enough money. Everybody can eat. Everybody can get in a bag some way. And it's kind of like, I don't know if you ever heard people were like, sometimes certain people don't like working for like Black supervisors, right? because it's kind of like that mentality of kind of like being one of those things where like I already know how you're going to come at me because you don't want me to surpass you. You don't want me to go past you, but you'll say, oh, you're doing it because you want me to be better. Oh, you're harder on me because you want me to be better. You're coming at me this way because you want me to be better.
I feel like that's such a defeatist attitude. I feel like in those scenarios, when I hear people saying like, "Oh, I wouldn't want to work with a black supervisor," specifically, I hear this in reference to a lot of black women, and I've heard this mentioned by a lot of men who are like, "I would never want to have a black female supervisor. I feel like this person, instead of empowering me, is dictating to me," and I feel like
Yes.
we can't go on rhetoric because I always say this: the minute we denounce our own people and say things like, "Oh, I would never work for somebody who looks like me," neither would the rest of the world. They've been waiting to cancel Christmas on us from the
Mhm.
beginning. So I feel like that's a type of conversation that we have to have outside of those spaces, outside of those professional spaces that allow us to break down and understand what's going on between our dynamics, right? And we're all rooting for each other to get to our ultimate goals, right? We want to see each other win. We want to make sure that everybody is successful. We have to break down some of those
But
barriers and stereotypes
see,
that exist.
the issue becomes I want to see you win as long as you don't go past me. That's what the issue becomes when it comes to the culture. Where if we're in a foot race, I want to see you win, but I better be first and you better be second. I want to
But you
see
know,
you.
I feel like
I
that's
want to see you on the platform, but I want to be first, and that's the thing. And it's like, how do we get
I
out that mindset?
you know, because I feel like there's only one side to that conversation, right? The reality of it is, do you deserve to be here because you worked hard, or are you here because I'm just giving you the opportunity?
Mhm.
And that's two things. And I say this all of the time. Sometimes people can push you to your personal best too. And they're not trying to throw salt in your game. Just because somebody calls you up doesn't mean that they're always calling you out.
Exactly.
And I feel like there's a difference in that conversation, right? You do have people who have two different coins. We were just talking about this recently. You know, I don't know who's familiar with the situation with Jess Hilarious and Lauren LaRusso on that Breakfast Club show.
Mhm.
But it's like a prime example of how we got it's Women's History Month. We got two women who are like really like emceeing on this television platform where this show is being shown on BET. You got episodes on YouTube. You can listen to the
Everywhere.
Breakfast Club everywhere, right?
I
And
be
these
at
women are
work
battling
and
it
people
out.
be listening to the Breakfast Club everywhere. You can hear it
You know what I'm
everywhere.
saying? And unfortunately, these two women feel like they were put against each other to battle out this very concept, where the concept around loyalty and distrust became very prevalent based off of opportunity. And just having a simple opportunity is what changed the relationship for them. So I don't know who knows all of the tea and the ins and outs, but we saw Jess Hilarious kind of voice her opinion about during the time of her going on maternity leave, she granted an opportunity to another colleague of hers, somebody that she was relatively okay with. She felt like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm stepping out on maternity leave. You got a platform. You're pretty good at running your platform. I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about whatever you got to talk about until it's time for me to get back on air. And what ended
Mhm.
up happening is Jess Hilarious returns.
He
Lauren
did
LaRusso
amazing.
was she did an amazing job, right? Like anybody that I give an opportunity to, I'm going to trust and believe that you're somebody who's going to do a good job at it. And so sincerely, I think that's how it started off. But as we can see more recently, it changed into a whole different situation when now these two women are like going ahead for each other.
Because I feel like the issue was she did better than you expected. You knew she was good, but you didn't think she was going to be better. And I feel like that's what the issue was. And the fact of the matter is, if I have a show and something happens, I have to call out. And they're like, hey, can you find a replacement? And I'm like, yes. You know what? I know Miss Wellamo can do it. I'm not picking you because I know you're good. I know you're amazing. And that's the thing. So if opportunities open up because you took that door, that's what's supposed to happen.
110%. And I feel like it's so unfortunate that she was at a personal odds with herself. I think sometimes when people see others win, and we brought this up on more than one occasion, it's like holding a mirror up to yourself.
Mhm.
And instead of just Hilarious seen as an opportunity to grow in another area, she took it as a personal challenge. And I feel
Yeah.
like that happens to a lot of people in our community. So when you say that, like that rhetoric that people use, like, oh, I would never want to be underneath a supervisor of color. I would never want to be underneath a Black woman as a boss. Instead of seeing it as an opportunity to have a hard conversation and for both parties to grow. Everybody who enters into a certain position in this world has a lot to learn, right? They come in knowing certain things about their job, but there's always ways for them to develop themselves and to improve. And I feel like too many times we count people out and we dismiss them without giving them the opportunity to rise to the occasion.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, pick her. Like I said, you picked her because she was thinking that she was going to go above you. I don't think that's what she was ready for. And everybody was like, oh, she did amazing. She did a great job. She did this, she did that. And that right there is what shook the scene. Because you thought you picked somebody that was great or good. And she ended up being amazing. But that's why should it threaten? Like I said, everybody can eat. Everybody can eat. Everybody, how they're working it out. Everybody can be on the platform. It opened up another door for her. It didn't make you lose your job. It didn't. I can see if something happened, they're like, oh, we're straight giving you up and picking her. Okay, then I can see you being in your feelings a little bit about that. Or however you may feel about it.
I feel, I feel so different about that. So it's like when you take a step back from any position, right? There's always a chance that regardless of the job that you can be
somebody's
replaced,
going to
right?
replace you.
No,
Yeah.
everybody is replaceable in this professional world, right?
Okay.
And I think that so many people tell themselves that they're expendable, that nothing could ever happen to them in these spaces. And even though everybody has something that's special and unique and valuable about them as individuals, there's not one person that can't get bumped out of an opportunity. So I feel like when you open up to like allow for somebody else to access your platform, you're giving them an opportunity where no, if anything happens and it's no longer for you, there should be no love lost there,
and that's
right?
what it is.
Because you shine in that space as long as you were supposed to shine in that space, and another person is given an opportunity, and maybe they'll give another person another opportunity, like, and the cycle continues if you look at it through that lens.
And that's what it is. At what point do we get to the point where it's kind of like, you know what? You have to be in tune with yourself to be like, look, now we're at a point where like maybe that door closed for me, but another door is going to open. I opened up a door for this person and it worked for me. When it was open for me, it worked. I was blessed. I was on that platform, but I opened up the door for another person. And on top of that, you open up the door for another Black person. You helped her. She has now a platform, whatever the case may be. Now, guess what? Maybe another door open up for me. Maybe something else will come of this for me. But it's no love lost. You know what? I helped somebody. I seen the potential in somebody. Because that's the thing, too. A lot of us see potential in people and want to give them away. And even if you go above me, like I tell people sometimes, I've helped people with certain stuff, but even if you go past me, I'm fine with that because that's the goal. Be better than me.
See, this is the thing that I thought was so crazy too. She voiced like a sense of betrayal, right?
Yeah.
When I watched this interview, like Jess Hilarious was really looking at Lauren LaRusso like with deep-seated feelings, like sis, I feel like you stabbed me in the back. You weren't supportive to me. Like I said, by definition, if the word trust means reliable, I brought you in because I feel like you are a reliable person, not because you were in allegiance to me. And I said, that's the confusion that people have. I brought you here because I feel like you were going to be loyal. And if anybody said that I wasn't doing my job, you're going to stand up. You were going to instantly advocate. You were going to walk off this platform in the name of allegiance towards me. But what she got a trusting person. I was like, I'm not going to disrespect your name. I'm not going to embarrass you on air. But when you ask me to do something, I'm going to put my 110 on it. And I'm going to be reliable. And I did that.
Because why would I give you anything?
Feel like I was loyal. I was a trustworthy person. You didn't pick anybody who stabbed you in the back. I did exactly what I promised I would do when you asked me to take over this specific moment. And that's why I said, like, although to have healthy relationships, trust and loyalty are requirements for most people, I think redefining what those things mean for you, the individual, is very important. Because when people don't show up the way you expect them to, many people feel betrayed and let down, as Shorty did.
And now you feel like, oh, you didn't trust them, the loyalty wasn't there. And that's what ends up happening, or whatever the case may be. And I don't think that was the case with this situation. I feel like I feel like she went in with good intentions. I don't feel like she went in on no crazy intentions. And I feel like that it it was a crazy situation, and it didn't have to unfold like that.
Right, I think because of how we start is not necessarily how we finish with people. Like, there's so many different paradigms to relationships that shift and change. Like, we started off this conversation talking about Young and May. And granted, we understand that those are celebrities, but those things get really personal, right? Like, when
Yeah.
you're in a relationship with someone and we express like trusting somebody with some of the most deep, dark, personal secrets that you may have experienced. But the minute the relationship goes sour, somebody's using those deep, dark secrets against you because you know what I'm saying? The love
And
is
you know
gone.
what?
And so, and a
I
lot of
feel like
like, do we have to change how we are when we're dealing with people? Do we not share personal details about ourselves because we have a fear of if this doesn't work out, somebody's going to hurt me with my most sacred moments?
so. My thing is, and like I said, this is a personal thing. Me, do I feel like it's one of those things where, like, you know how back in the day they would be like, "What happens in our house stays in our house," kind of situation. I feel like certain things should be disclosed for understanding and relationship purpose. Because certain things might happen where you're like, okay, I need to know why you jumped out to sleep at night, or I need to know, certain things that may happen. Certain things you might have to disclose why you do certain stuff a certain way. Get what I'm saying? Or whatever the case may be. Do I feel like you have to disclose everything at one point? No, until you feel comfortable. It is a comfortable trait. But you will hear, I hear this more so with men, but you will hear a lot of men who will not disclose certain things because they feel like the moment I piss this girl off, your mama's a crackhead, granny was out prostituting, your cousin's a slut, your mama out there slapping your daddy. I watched your cousin get knocked down the steps. Like, if the moment something happens, all of a sudden everything you ever said is out there.
I'm gonna say it just like this. Granted, I'm never gonna say that I wasn't a person and hit her with a 1-2 banger at a time being mad. I'm not gonna say that I never been. But I would say this version of myself, I find actions like that deplorable, right? There are certain things, no matter in what moment that you're experiencing with somebody, that I honestly believe is a testament of your character, right? I'm not going to hit you so low with something so personal, like your mama's a crackhead. When I be hearing people get into conversations like that, I'm like, Lord, you know that boy done cried on your shoulder for a good, like, every
About
other
his
night.
mama. You done cried on
Wait,
yourself about his mom being a crackhead.
and now that's the first thing that you want to harp on. I do feel like that's wrong. But like I said, that speaks to character. And these are like moral complexes that I feel like a lot of people aren't aware of themselves. Like, there's nothing that you're supposed to utilize if we've been together, and I don't care how long the relationship, I don't care if I only rock with you for a few months to a few years. If something was sent in the confound of us having pillow talk, and it took you a lot to be able to convey that to another person, there's so many different things that I could say to hit you in the jugular. I don't have to
I'm not.
use something that's traumatic for you to get at you. Because, like I said,
No.
it says more about me as a person than it does about you and what you
But
experienced.
I will say this though. Don't 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 shoot your gun at me and think I ain't about to cock mine back though. I will say that. Now that's the healing part within me. But don't shoot your gun at me and think I can't cock back. Like, so don't sit up here and be like, oh well, remember when you said this happened to you? All right, well now your mama's a crackhead. Like, don't shoot your gun. And I feel like sometimes that happens with people where you feel like, oh, in the privacy we were discussing these things, but then it's like if you open up the privacy door, don't get mad that now somebody done walked in and opened it up. Because you done sat up here and decided to put our privacy out here on Front Street. And now you mad because they done sat up here and disclosed your secrets.
Well, like I said, that becomes a lack of maturity. And like I said, if by definition, and we learn our first types of relationships from things that we've observed, right? There's somewhere along the line where people have gotten comfortable with, I can use disrespect to get my way when I feel
Mm-hmm.
like the loyalty is no longer there, the trust is no longer there. Now I can flip the script and I can say all of these personal, hateful, spiteful things
Mm-hmm.
to you because I feel like the relationship outcome flipped. And I feel like that's what ends up happening for a lot of people. Like, if I grew up watching mom and dad say mean ass shit to each other at times where they were ripping, right? And there was no respect amongst them in those arguments, then I'm going to carry out relationships like that into the future. And that's why we hear people say shit that you just don't mess around with
Yeah.
and choose to go like, oh,
And I
well,
think
you know what? I told this person because I trusted them.
Yes.
And I never try to like use that to get at me.
I feel like it's one of those things where, like I say, like you are how you're raised sometimes. And I feel like it can be one or two things, right? And I feel like you said, if you see mama and daddy cussing each other out when you were younger, one or two things going to happen. Either now, that's what you become when you're older, or you say, because that's what I seen, I'm not doing that. And that's what ends up happening. You become one or the other, or whatever the case may be. And I know it's a lot of times with men, like depending on what they've seen, that's what ends up being the trait that they carry. So if you seen daddy whooping ass, guess what? Now you wonder why oh boy got an anger problem because daddy been out here beating bitches since '88.
But you know, you brought up something that's a common narrative where a lot of men have professed that they don't share personal details about their lives because they feel like it's constantly being used against them, right? And I think that makes it hard to have like healthy, meaningful relationships
Yeah.
because if I fear every time I tell my truth to somebody, they're going to use it or hold it as a sign of weakness. And then I can never be vulnerable. And by me not being able to be vulnerable, I can never have a healthy conversation and communication with my partner. Yeah. And so that's the part of us, as I said, that we have to like redefine what it looks like to engage in healthy conversations and being able to trust somebody's character. Mm-hmm. Not even just trusting them as a person. I trust your character enough to communicate certain things to you without fear that it is going to be used against me in a way that's inflammatory.
Yes, because the character plays a really big part because it's one of those things where, like you said, we have to get to that point. But like you said, a lot of men say that. Like I was saying, a lot of men say that, but we have to get comfortable where it's kind of like you can speak to me and feel like I'm not worried about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about you going out and saying this. I'm not worried about you going out here and putting my business in the street, or if you get mad, you say this, or whatever the case may be. It's one of those things.
I think that there's so many different things that we trust people with that we shouldn't, right? People trust people around their finances. People trust people around their children. People trust people bodies. You know what I'm saying? And so your personal business is, to me, top tier. If I consider myself entering in a relationship with somebody, I do want to develop enough of a trust and a respect. And I think respect before trust that allows me to feel comfortable with communicating with you. Right? Because this is the thing that happens. A lot of people end up in relationships with people. They be like, oh, yeah, well, I slept with that person. You trust somebody to enter your body before you trust telling them. With your body before you trust telling them certain things about your personal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they experience it. Things that you, like, had to work on.
Their body. Sometimes I don't feel like people put enough respect in their body. Well, like, your body, for somebody to enter you, and let's be real, if we're going to be grown, let's be grown. A lot of people out here entering you raw. So you trusted somebody to raw into you, into your body. Okay? But yeah, you ready to say, oh, I don't trust him out in the street. Make that make sense.
Listen, make it make sense.
So what do you think he about to bring back to you?
We've had this conversation about how people have those deep-seated connections and they're called soul ties, right? And they trust people with the most intimate parts of themselves by relation. People think it's easier, right? It's easier for some people to lay down in bed with another person than it is for them to say, hey, you know, back in the day, like my mama used to get beat down by my daddy, or back in the day, you know, I had a situation where somebody did something to abuse me or to violate me. People have an easier time giving people what they consider is less intimate conversation.
I feel like sometimes the body has been valued so low. I feel like people have valued their body so low now that's like I'd rather give you this than to tell you what happened when I was younger. I'd rather give you this than to tell you why I jump, like I said, why I jump in my sleep at night. I'd rather give you my body than to have these conversations.
That honestly, and even though we can value and say like those human interactions are important, right? I feel like that's giving somebody the least of you. Like at this current point, like I feel like it's important. Like that body exchange is a very sensitive, intimate one, but I feel like you're giving somebody the least of you, right? The part that you could easily put away and dismiss. when you have to engage somebody in conversation, what's in here is so critical and valuable. Your brain is one of the most sensitive things and organisms inside of your body, right? Somebody
Mm-hmm.
can do something, say something that completely can take you out of your mind, right? That can change your behavior, that can shift your perspective, that can make you reevaluate things and also devalue certain situations. So I feel like if you never get into a space where you can trust somebody with this in any form of fashion, you're never really committed to a good or healthy relationship. Like you can have sex until the day is long. Like you can do that all day long without a problem, but you're never going to truly get to know someone if you don't trust them with a conversation. If I can't talk to you about anything that I'm dealing with, if I can't bring you a part of myself that's struggling, what's the
But see,
relationship worth? What's the value in that?
but also, even with that, I feel like the reason why I say I don't think people value the body enough is because even without the conversations, like you said, that soul tie, sometimes just that body to body, right? It's a certain kind of hold that person has on you just because you gave them that. Y'all didn't even have a conversation. Y'all didn't even talk yet, but just because you gave them your body, it's a certain hold they have on you. And I
See,
think
that's the
that's the
I feel like
part that people, I think that's the part that people sometimes don't pay attention to. Where it's the whole that like, y'all ain't, like you said, y'all didn't know that man last name. But because you gave him your body, it's a certain part that is still bound to that man or woman, however it plays out, or whatever the case may be, back and forth, where it's still, that's why I'm like, hold yourself on a higher standpoint, period. All connections. Like you said, when it comes to trust, hold it across the board. Your body, your person, your connection, your brain, everything, your heart, hold everything to that standard.
you know why I think people have such a hard time, or like you said, it's a little bit easier for people to devalue their bodies and give it out so freely sometimes is because they don't trust themselves fully. Like trusting yourself is at the basis of a lot of relationships that people don't understand, right? Like I have to be able to be confident that I can make good decisions. Who I
Mhm.
choose to trust my business with is important. Who I choose to give my body to is important. And many people don't feel capable of making those good decisions. Like, I'm not saying that anybody could be, without a mistake, right? A lot of people make a lot of mistakes out here, and there's opportunities to learn and to grow.
Mhm.
But there's so many people that are like, the reason why I'm shut down in relationships is because I've been in relationships where I've expressed too much
Yeah.
and it didn't work out for me. Or people that are like, look, I didn't dealt with the same type of dude or the same type of female again and again like a cycle because I
But
don't
see,
have the ability
that's a
to
whole other
trust
topic in
and get
itself.
myself out of those situations.
But that's a whole other topic in itself because at that point, that's when the work has to be done. Why do you keep picking the same person every
So I
time?
was like, the ability to make good choices is one, like I
Yeah.
said, it starts when we're younger, right? So if we learn the basic rule of thumb is that loyalty and trust is like the basis for how we're supposed to get down in our community. Don't snitch, right? Don't tell on people. Make sure, like, if this is your partner, you always look out them for, and you do that bid for that person if they commit a crime or whatever the case, because that's your partner. We say all of that dumb shit, right? I was like
I love
across
you,
the
friend, but I ain't doing no time. I
I
love
ain't
you,
no. Let
Boogie.
me tell you,
I love you,
I
Boogie.
don't, I don't, I don't write. I don't
No,
call,
no,
and
baby.
I
How
don't
about
put money.
this?
Books.
How about this?
Wrong,
No, no,
wrong.
Miss Wellenbook, I will write you. I will hold you, baby. I'll even put money on your books, but I'm not serving your time. I will I
Let me.
will send you a frame package real easy because I love you, Pookie. But if you think that I'm about to serve the time for you,
You seen those things back in the day when we were growing up. People used to be like, "Free Tyrone!" Like Tyrone did that shit. Tyrone is slaughtered somebody's whole family. Like, why are we yelling out "Free Tyrone"? Like that, he need to be locked
let
Tyrone's
me
ass up.
let
Like,
me tell you, let me tell you, real quick caveat. I had that situation happen, and it was a person I knew where something happened. And everybody was like, oh, they didn't do it. Free him, this, that, and the third. And then everybody starts banging my line because I was really close to the person. And I was like, to know that person is to know they did it. Yeah, they did it. Like, what are you saying? Like, what are we doing this for? Like, why are we sitting up here trying to be like, oh no, get a good lawyer. Not him. But no, stop. If you really are, you know what your friend
And
did do, what they didn't do.
I feel like people are so loyal to certain people to the point where it's like it lacks honesty, right? Like, I don't have to be so much of an allegiance to somebody where I'm allowing them to make the same mistake again and again. That's like looking your friend in the face and being like, hey, like everything you do is amazing. It's not
It's
amazing. You
not.
committed some things, crimes that is going to fuck your world up for the rest of your life. And I wouldn't be a good friend if I
If I
moved
didn't
with
tell
blind
you.
allegiance. If I didn't tell you. That's what I said. I was like,
Exactly.
we can no longer carry out these relationships into the future, right? Especially in our community without saying the necessary things that need to be said. Like my allegiance or loyalty, I'm not any more loyal to you by lying to you. Like,
Hmm.
it doesn't mean that I'm any more in your corner because I'm allowing you to believe that everything that you do and say is okay off the rip.
But that's the thing, like, we had to hold each other accountable. Because, like you said, I'm not about to sit up here and tell you right when you're wrong. I'm not about to sit up here and say, oh, you didn't do it when I know you did it. You know what I'm saying? It's holding each other accountable. And that's what it comes to, holding each other accountable. But, like you said, going back to those things of kind of like what we have to relearn everything. And I feel like that's what we're in the process of doing, relearning everything, relearning what we were taught, relearning, like you said, those stop snitching and stop doing that, relearning that some of the things that we were taught that we should do maybe isn't what we should be doing.
Because I mean, that only matters until you're personally impacted by it. And I'm going to keep it a buck, right? Somebody, if I walk outside and something happens to a loved one of mine on the street, right? And everybody outside, like, nah, I ain't see nothing. I'm
I
crashing.
seen it.
Bruh, I'm crashing out, and I'm crashing out off the principle because now I don't want to hear like, nah, because we mind our business around here. We don't let people know, and it only matters, right, until it matters to you, until you're
Yeah.
somebody who needs to obtain important information to help your family and your loved ones. That's why I
And
said
so
I was
you're
like, it's
affected.
almost like trust and loyalty have its own timeout until the relationship changes. People tend to be trusting and respectful of one another as long as that person is respectful towards you. The minute that person stops rocking with you in the same relationship dynamic, you ready to go tell a business. Everything that you learned about that person is now flying in the middle of the street. That's how a lot of people get down. Like, you loyal to somebody until you feel like that person commits an act against you that makes you feel indifferent. Now we don't even know what loyalty is. I feel like we had to start to redefine those terms and how we teach it to the younger generation because they're walking around with that same ammo in their back. I hear the young kids that I work with all of the time. They be like, "Man, I go to jail for all of my friends. Like, I'll do time for my friends." And I'm like, "You go? I don't have any friends that I want to go to jail for." I be like, What are you guys talking about? Like, that's a different philosophy. And I don't think I've ever said that when I was a kid. But there's a lot of young people who are raised with that rhetoric. They're like, that's what loyalty is. That's what allegiance is. It means that I will sacrifice my own self-worth and self-value for another because I'm that locked in with this person.
Mm-hmm. Well, friend, we're going to have to pick this up next time for the folk, but it's Savage time.
Ow, savage question time.
So the question is, when is forgiveness off the table?
I don't think forgiveness is ever off the table because forgiveness is not about the other person, it's for yourself. Like, at the end of the day, anybody that I've personally been like, you know what, you got it. Like, I got to be able to forgive you so that I can grow and get to a place of happiness where I'm no longer impacted by the stuff that was done. Like, I hate when people feel like it's like I don't have to give you that out and out apology. You don't have to give me that out and out apology, but I do have to make my peace with the situation.
Look
Because
at this.
if I don't, then I'm living in turmoil.
You didn't even need my little answer, did you? You just knew. Because let me tell you something right now. That is a fact. Forgiveness is never off the table, but I tell you what is your access to me. Forgiveness, I can give you because I'm giving it to you for me. It's not for you, it's for me because I need to move on, because I need to be healed, because I got things I need to accomplish, and holding the whatever you did to me hostage, I can't allow. But your access to me is now denied. Forgive you, hope, wish you well, hope everything works out for you, whatever the case may be. I forgive you and hope that works out. But your access to me is null and void.
I think that's so true because I feel like that idea around access, I don't have to continue to engage you. And it doesn't mean that I'm forgetting what took place either. I think that's something that people feel like the minute you forgive, you've completely wiped the slate clean, right? Like you don't even remember what
Absolutely.
somebody did to you.
The
That's
memory
bullshit,
don't work
right?
like that. Yeah,
That's not how the memory works. Like I said, trauma, the score keeps the body, right? Trauma is stored in our memory and in our body. So if something happens that's unforgivable, I would never tell a person it's that easy just to sit up there and dismiss it. But an effort to heal as an individual, yes, forgiveness is at the key of it. And I can remove myself from you. I don't got to talk to you, rap with you, engage with you. I don't got to open you up to a space where I'm allowing you to hurt me again the same way,
exactly.
to be able to say, like, you know what, I wish you well on your journey, and
That's it.
we don't no longer have
Like
that
we had
time. We don't got to
that
cross paths.
conversation. Wish you the what? Wish you well. Hope God holds you close, but not too close when you're sitting next to me. Straight like that. Like hope you get everything that you wanted, but your access to me, I can't allow because I forgave you. I know how you move now. It didn't work for me. It's not okay for me. It might be okay for you because you're still dealing with whatever you have to deal with. But I forgave you for me. I did what I need to do for me, and now you can stay over there, and I can stay over here, and I can just send you a nice prayer and blessings in the pathway. Because guess what? Your access to me does not have to be that anymore.
You know, I feel like it's so unfortunate because I have uttered this to people before. I'm like, I like to get into a space of healing where I could be in a room with somebody who has committed an egregious wrong. I'm not going to say has wronged me in every way possible, but has committed some type of wrong towards me. And getting to a comfort where I can sit up there sipping my tea, having my drink, socializing with whoever I'm socializing with, and then that person's presence being in the same atmosphere doesn't even rattle my cage because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in that same space was when I was dealing with that individual. And I feel like that's something that has to grow over time. There are some people
It,
who are like, I ever gotta be in a room with this person ever again. And it's not because I'm struggling to forgive. It just means I don't like to test my boundaries like that. I would never put myself in a space with this
friend,
other person.
you know, and I know what you're talking about. And I have a couple people where my thing is this. I am now at the place. If I have to be in the room with you, okay, fine. But here's the thing. You don't have to, we don't have to act like we're cool and we're not. I forgave you is what it is. If we have to be in the same area, that's fine. But here's the thing. Mama raised somebody to be cordial. I'll be cordial. I'll speak hello. We don't have to go further and say how you doing, how you been, how your life been, what you up to now. We ain't gotta go that deep. How are you? I mean, hello. Leave it there and keep it moving. Or whatever the case may be. I'm now at that stage where I can be in a room with somebody where, like, look, I forgave you or something, speak and move around and let it be that. But some people aren't at that place where now you feel like you have to spark that conversation. You have to do this. And you know that's not the place that we're in.
No, I love that level of maturity. There's plenty of people that I could pass on the street right now, and then they would read it as indifference, right? And the reason why I say that is because they're like, hey, like, you didn't stop and have a whole deep seated conversation with me. And I'm like, that's not necessary. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't like, I still wish the best for you. Like, I wish for myself. I want us all to win. Like I said, I love us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Wholeheartedly as a people. But if this is somebody that I don't find like I should be spending my time with, or there's been something done in the course of that relationship or during the time that I knew you that made you not a good person for me to keep myself around, no, I'm not going to overly indulge in conversation. I'm not going to overly invest my time. Time is so
No.
precious and valuable. So
And
I tend to be a person, and like this comes from a place of healing. I can see you because I was raised to be cordial. I can see you walking down the street. I can hit you with one of these. I can hit you with a head nod. I can acknowledge your presence, but I don't ever have to like overly indulge.
We don't have to overly do anything. We don't have to sit up here and have this whole conversation about what life been doing and how you been with where you at working and all. We don't have to do that. But like you said, because of how we were raised, if I enter a room and you come my way and I see you, hello, I will speak because that's how we were raised, and we can move right on past each other from there. And that's where I'm at in life. If I have any issue or anything that I had to resolve with somebody, if we ever had to be in the same room with each other, hello, if you come past me and I see you because I know who you are, hello, and we can keep on passing. We can leave it there because that's where I'm at. But you don't have that access to me anymore to feel like you deserve a response to how life has been going, and let's have a conversation, let's catch up and get some drinks and all that. We not there. No, I forgave you. I moved on. I did what I had to do for me. You need to do what you need to do for you now.
Yeah, a true mark of a healed person is somebody who can do that. And for those who feel like they're rattled, like they not gonna speak, they not gonna act like they see me in the room. Those are the people who have a lot of work that they gotta do. Because my whole thing is, like I said, I can walk in 1,000,001 spaces, see everybody in the atmosphere, and give everybody the same hello. And it means
That's it.
no level of respect to nobody. It just means like everything is not worth your
I
time and energy.
spoke to everybody in the room.
Right? You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like the next time when we get up and, we're having this conversation about it, I was like, that concept around trust and loyalty and really that respect for like being able to forgive people. We're going to have another part 2 to this because, like I said, that forgiveness factor, I think, is rooted in a lot of these conversations, right? Because when you don't forgive other people, similar to what we were saying, it impacts all those other relationships. I never learned to heal from that past experience. Now I'm bringing it into every dynamic that I have. I'm bringing it into stuff with my coworkers, my family members, my relationships, because I didn't learn how to properly heal. So now I can't trust again. Now, I don't
And on
know if
that
I'm
note,
looking at loyalty or disloyalty in a way that I deem valuable.
yeah. Now, on that note, friend, we're going to go ahead and send them out. We love y'all so much. We thank y'all for tuning in. Like Miss Wellman said, we will be here for a part 2. Y'all already know y'all can catch us on Thursday, every other Thursday, 8:30. Go ahead and send them home.
So you already know, hit us up on YouTube. So that is Miss Wellman YouTube, Lady A Savage YouTube. That's the Instagram pages. Like, comment, and subscribe. We love rocking with y'all. I tell y'all, we love y'all for free. Y'all are our people. Like I said, the chosen people. And with that being said, y'all, look for us anywhere on social media. If there's a topic that you wish to discuss, make sure that you slide into the DMs. Yet again, that's Miss Well Woke and Lady A Savage. This is Who Woke the Savage on Thursday nights at 8:30. Make sure that you guys like, comment, and subscribe.